What's up, you guys? So, I wanted to do this YouTube and start recording, like, basically diaries or just recording stuff about my life. um, and just kind of like document it, save it for like years to come, and then obviously share it to the world and see what the hell I get out of it because I'm like, what else am I gonna lose from it? Like, except, just negative comments or whatever the fuck it could be. I don't know. Anyways, so I wanted to talk about my car accident experience. And I'm healed from it. I'm not like all traumatic, like, I have trauma from it. So it's like, I definitely have healed from it for sure to the point where, I can drive now and I'm cool with it. I mean, I'll drive like a grandpa, but I mean, no shame in that. So, let's get right to it. This happened when I was 20 years old. So what had happened was that I was in Mexico. I was in this state called Morelos. Morelos, Mazatepec. Mazatepec is like the city. I didn't have my accident there in Mazatepec. I had it in a different city. I don't remember which city it was. I remember just that I got invited to breakfast and they're like, oh yeah, come with us. We'll drive and, whatever. We had sopes, which is like a basic dish out there. So we went. I remember we had breakfast. It was pretty good. I mean, I got to socialize. Nothing bad. I mean, why not? On our way back, one thing it just occurred to me out of like just thin air. I'm like, wait a minute. She does not have seatbelts in her car. And then I was just kind of like, I remember I was sitting in the middle and I was like, oh no, like something told me I should move to like on the side of the passenger. I think that's what it's called. And just in case if something happens, I'll hit the freaking behind the seat and everything will be fine. So, so anyways, well, I was sitting in the car, like this intuition, this voice was telling me while I was sitting in the middle of the car, hey, you should probably move one seat over, And then something also told me, like, wouldn't it be funny? I think this was my brain. Wouldn't it be funny if, like, we got into a car accident and we flew off the hill? I don't know what I was thinking that, like, for some reason, it just occurred to me. So I was just like, okay, like, whatever. I'm just going to listen to this voice, this intuition, just for the heck of it. So I remember, like, moving a seat over and then... that's when the thought of a car accident popped up, and we were driving towards this like this curve thing, right? Yeah, curve. And that's when I knew that we fucked up. Well, not we, because I wasn't driving, I was in the back, but she fucked up, the driver. She, instead of like putting brake on the curve, whenever you do a curve, like you're supposed to like necessarily like not go as fast, like you need to brake it. No, she fucking floors that bitch, like full blown pedal to the metal devil shit, like go for it, we need speed. And it's like, holy shit, that's when I knew we're fucked, we are so screwed, we're going to fly out of this fucking thing, which we did. We flew off out of the hill, or I don't know what other name it is, barranco in Spanish or whatever, I don't know. We fly off. Oh my god. So two things happened in my brain during that moment. It was just like, wow, I'm going to die. Definitely. And I'm in the middle of nowhere but fuck Mexico, and I'm going to just perish here. That was my initial thought. And I'm like, I'm just gonna close my eyes and just, oh well. Like, this is where I landed. This is as far as I go in my life. Like I'm just, it's a dead end at this point. So, wow, I remember what I recall was holding on to the passenger seat and closing my eyes. And I remember it felt like I was in some kind of like roller coaster type of sensation because I didn't have a seatbelt. So I remember literally holding on to my life. And the fucking motion, it just felt like this, like. And I remember, oh my god, I'm getting a headache from this. And then something told me, open your eyes. So I opened my eyes for a second. And I remember seeing all these trees and branches and like just a lot of green that we were hitting while we were going downhill. And I'm just like, yep, we're gonna hit some kind of tree. I'm going to literally hit face first towards the passenger seat, and my face is going to be deformed or something, or I'm just gonna fly out of the car. I don't know, something, right? So I'm like, okay, well, let's just pray that doesn't happen. So finally the car comes to a stop, because literally it happens so quick and so fast. Like, you don't have time to react to every little thing that's going on. Everything's just really quick. So during the time of just recovering like what just happened and opening my eyes, let me tell you, the first thing I saw was not the most pleasant thing. I remember the driver, she slid open her freaking throat. Like, slid open. Like, blood was gushing out. And I was just like mind fucked at that point. I was like, am I really seeing this? Like, holy shit. Like, and the first thought was like, she's dead. She's dead. She's gonna bleed out to death. And this is gonna be my first time seeing someone dead. So on top of that, I feel liquid coming down my face. And I'm like, I don't know if it's sweat or if it's just water from me being so nervous. But no, once I touch it, I'm like, oh, it's blood. So I like legit cut like part of my head open a little bit from the glass shattering and just kind of like projectiling everywhere. So I'm like, okay, like it's not too bad. But then I start feeling a sharp pain in my thumb. And that's when I'm like, holy crap. Like, I looked at my thumb and I see literally the bone popping out. So I had an open fracture. That was not painful in that same moment because my body wasn't shocked. So when your body's in shock, it's completely numb from all pain. So it's just like, yeah, it's just numb. So I was just kind of like, oh shit, I just know for a fact once I have to get this clean and sewed in or popped back in, it's gonna hurt so freaking bad. So I'm like, okay. So while I'm laying in the car, I'm here thinking a lot of things. I'm like, okay, from what I've seen in telenovelas and movies, it's like when you get into a car accident, shit explodes, right? So that was like my first initial thought. We're gonna blow up and we're gonna burn to death. So I need to get the fuck out of here. Oh, by the way, there was another passenger in front of me. There was this really chubby guy, and he managed to get out of the car and go up the hill and ask for rescue. He did it like super immediately. He just went into full instinct and he went up there and asked for help. And yeah, while it was me and the other girl bleeding to death, trying to get out of the car. I couldn't get out of the car because the car was so deformed and it was like in a way split in half. Like, it was weird. So I'm here trying to kick the door open and I'm like, okay, it's not opening. I might have to jump the window. But at this point I'm like, I can't even put pressure on my thumb because it's screwed. And then I'm also having a major migraine to the point where I'm like, I might even faint because I'm losing blood from my front, like my head. So I'm like, okay, like, it's fine, like, it'll be great, like. Anywho, so then I remember that she gave me her I think it was like her shirt, and she's like, oh, wrap it around your hands so you don't keep bleeding out. And I'm like, bitch, do you not see your neck? Your neck is like literally like slit open like a chicken. Like, girl, you're like halfway decapitated at this point. I'm like, I think you need it. And I told her, you need it more than I do right now. Like, I think you're doing a lot worse than me. Which is funny because I'll get to that story. That I actually was a lot worse than her. But I'll tell you that a little bit. So, anyways, so what else happened during that time? Oh, I remember the people came. They came down, the ambulance and everyone. They're just like, okay, we need to get you guys out of this car. They are able to open up the doors. And then they're like debating who wants to take, me or her. And they chose her because obviously she's a female, which is not trying to make it sexist or whatever. But they did choose her. And then they're like, okay, this bitch's throat is like midway slit open. Like, we need to take her. I had to walk, and during the whole time, I'm like, I think I'm gonna faint, but I'm like, no, no, you're fine. You can make it up the mountain. I make it up the mountain, or the hill. I think it was a hill. I don't know why I'm saying mountain. It was a hill. I made it up the hill, and I made it inside the ambulance, and then it was like literally the three of us that were in the car accident just chilling. I had to sit like on the side of the ambulance. The chick with the slit throat, she was in the bed, and then the chubby guy, he was completely fine. He walked out of that like nothing, just a little bit of scratches in his stomach, and that was it. The one that was mostly fucked was me, and I'll tell you why in a bit. So when we get out of the freaking ambulance, freaking I hit my head on the rooftop of the ambulance, like the little ceiling. Oh my god, I was like, just why? Why? It's like, this is not my day at all. So we make it to the emergency room. They take us in. They're like cleaning my wounds up. Holy shit. Like, my thumb was so painful to clean and pop it back in. And so, like, they were sewing it in. And trust me, Mexican hospitals are just, let's just put it this way, they're not bad, but it's definitely a different experience. Because during the time they were like sewing me and cleaning me, they did not use any type of anesthetics or anything to numb me from the pain. So every stitch that I was receiving, I was able to feel it. Yeah. It was quite painful. I remember it screaming and yelling at the nurses in English so they wouldn't understand me. Because I was being an asshole. Like, I was yelling at them, like, you fucking bitch. Like, of course, because I'm in so much pain and I'm here thinking, like, why is it that they don't give me any type of, like, anesthetic or something to, like, numb me? I'm feeling every little thing. So they sewed me up in my, like, my head or forehead. I felt every stitching when they were pulling the string. Oh my god, that was just hearing it just made me cringe. The same thing with my thumb. And they had to clean it, pop it back in, and just wrap it and stuff. I felt every little thing. Now, the reason why I'm saying I was the most affected out of the car accident is because I did receive a lot of nerve damage that I was not aware of until down the road. Because I was having kind of like not seizures, but it's almost like my body would start shaking, convulsing while I was sleeping. So I did receive quite a bit of nerve damage from the car accident. Have I recovered from it completely? Not 100%, because whenever I do exercise or even have intercourse or just any type of activity that involves my body doing something, oh my god, it gets extremely, extremely sore. And not just that, if I do push it to the limit, my body would just involuntarily start shaking and convulsing for some reason. Have I checked into it a lot to see what was going on? Not really. I did get one MRI, but they didn't really tell me anything. And these type of issues, I never had them like prior to the accident, so I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. I mean, I can't do much about it. So But yeah, and then I remember staying in the hospital for about a week. They tortured the shit out of me, because they try to give you UVs or IVs. I think it's IVs. Yeah, they one time could not, like, find my veins or whatever. So they're like, we're gonna put it in your foot. And even that didn't work, and that shit fucking hurt. Like, if you ever try putting an IV in your foot, I don't even know why they would do that. That hurt like a mother effer. And I'm here like you're from what I know, they either put it like in your hand or they put it like up here. I don't know. But on your foot, never heard of it. And they tried that, and I was like, "Are you freaking serious?" That was super painful. Um, but yeah, after the recovery, it took me about a year or two to have mobility back in my thumb. I cannot say that word. So, yeah, and I couldn't work for a whole year because obviously your thumbs are super important for when you work. Without them, we can't do much, like these are our main functions to basically use them for everything. So imagine doing things with just four fingers, like, doesn't really work. Um, but yeah, it took me about a year to just get back together, and after that, that that traumatic car accident. Um, but yeah, after that, it took me a while to get back to driving. I was really scared of like going into corners for some reason. It was just like PTSD. But then I'm over it now. I mean, I drive like a grandpa, and I really don't care who tells me I drive slow. Rather be safe than sorry, because I never want to experience something like that again. That shit sucked. It sucked more for the recovery process, not so much like going through the car accident, if that makes sense. It's the healing process that really just, oh my god, it's just too much. But yes, that is one of my few stories that I do have that I am trying to share out there to the world. Obviously, I have way more stories, way more. Someone even told me you should write a book, and I'm like, yeah, I'm very illiterate, so someone's gonna have to do that for me because I used to be really good, but not anymore. So yeah, I'd rather just film, edit, and just tell my story in a video and use that as my little book. You know what I mean? Just, yeah, just take it from there. But yeah, yes. So hope you guys like the story. Yeah, so if you guys can relate to the story, please put some comments and likes down below the description box, and I would love to read your guys' stories or just similar experiences, whatever. But yeah, thank you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video so I can talk about more of my personal stories. Okay, bye.